Hello and a big welcome to the Career Success Podcast. I'm Jason Connolly. If you're a regular listener, it's great to have you back, but if you're new, welcome to the show. In this series every week, we speak to the biggest names in business all across the globe. We talk about their career stories, the lessons learned, how they overcome challenges, and what success habits they practice. Practical advice to help you in your career. In this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Bill Dorfman from Beverly Hills in Los Angeles, US. Celebrity cosmetic dentist Dr. Bill Dorfman has been practicing for over 30 years in the Beverly Hills area and has a career unparalleled to any other dentist in history. He has transformed the smiles of celebrities such as Katy Perry, Usher, Anthony Hopkins, Fergi, Hugh Jackman, Michael Strahan, Jessica Simpson and Mark Wahlberg, amongst many others. Dr. Bill was the only dentist featured on ABC's hit show Extreme Makeover and is currently a recurring guest co-host on the CBS Emmy Award-winning daytime talk show, The Doctors. Referred to as the Michael Jordan of Dentistry, he has also appeared on numerous TV shows, including Larry King Live, Oprah, Access Hollywood, E! Extra, and The Entertainment Tonight. As the founder of Discus Dental, one of the world's leading dental companies, he helped lead the company from its inception to more than $1.3 billion in sales, primarily with award-winning tooth whitening products such as Zoom and BriteSmile. Dr. Bill has received 20 Lifetime Achievement Awards, 2 Guinness Book of World Records, is a New York Times best-selling author, and recently was the first dentist ever knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine. As a passionate philanthropist, together with country singer Garth Brooks and the Crown Council of Dentists, he has helped raise more than $44 million for children's charities. Dr. Bill is also the founder of the non-profit LEAP Foundation. LEAP is a week-long motivational leadership program taught at UCLA every summer to more than 400 students between the ages of 15 and 25. More than just a dentist, Dr. Bill Dorfman is an author, entrepreneur, philanthropist, TV personality, and health and fitness enthusiast. He's also the proud father of 3 daughters. Dr. Bill, it's an absolute delight to have you on the show.
It is my pleasure, Jason C.
Well, I've got so many questions I want to ask you, Dr. Bill. But to start off with, tell us about your career and how it all got started, because it's fascinating to be the world's most well-renowned dentist. I've got so many questions, but the floor is yours, Dr. Bill. Tell us about you and how it all got started.
I actually can say I fell into dentistry, and I'll explain. I was about 2.5 years old. I was playing around in my living room with my grandparents, my parents, and everybody, and I fell playing Ring Around the Rosie, and I hit a coffee table. And when I did, I hit my baby teeth so hard that I knocked out my upper baby teeth, my upper front baby teeth. And in order to ensure that my permanent teeth developed and grew in properly, I had multiple surgeries and endless visits to the dentist. And, I've never been a normal kid. I've always been weird. And I would think most kids would be petrified of dentists after something like that. I was actually intrigued by the whole thing. And I was never scared. I found the whole thing so fascinating, that they could put me back together and do this and that. And so I started at a really early age asking my family dentist if I could come in and just watch him work. I didn't even know what shadowing was. Like, I don't even think it had been invented. This was in the dinosaur ages. So as you know, I was the oldest of 5 kids. So when my parents would come, I would sit chairside and watch him work on all my brothers and my sister. And I thought one day I want to do this. I want to do this for people. And so it just never wavered. So I was a 3-year-old kid, and where all of my buddies, wanted to be army men, I was like the medic who would fix the army men and stuff. Yeah, I think it was a mixed blessing, because in a way it made my career path so easy, because I just did what a dentist would do. Like, I took the classes I needed to take in science, and I didn't have to think about, like, well, what should I do? I just researched. I said, okay, this is what dentists do, and then I did it. It was a straight shot.
Then when you got what I'm absolutely fascinated. So you qualified as a dentist. You did all the studying, which I think goes without saying. But you then became obviously a brand new qualified dentist. Walk us through kind of what happened then, because to become America's dentist, what was that journey like?
So we're going to talk a little bit later about
Uh-huh.
an organization I run called LEAP. It's a motivational leadership program, a nonprofit for high school and college kids, where we get kids from the UK, from all over the world. 500 kids come to UCLA every summer and spend a week with us, where I bring in
Mm.
amazing speakers and whatnot. And I'm not just saying amazing. I'm talking about Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Hopkins, Elon Musk, Eva Longoria, Kathy Bates, Paula Abdul. I mean, I get the greatest speakers ever to come and share their story with these kids. And
Mm.
none of them charge us, they do it for free. But there's a lot of lessons that we teach at LEAP. And, one of the lessons, it's funny because, I kind of went through life and forged my own paths. And then later on, I hear people say things, like successful people are willing to do the things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. I'm like, yeah, I've always done that. And, you know, I'm in dental school. I was the youngest graduate in the country at the time, graduating dental school. And I was looking at myself saying, I grew up pretty poor. We had nothing. I never traveled. I didn't see the world. I'm
Mm.
graduating dental school. If I go and I set up my office, I'm going to be tethered to this practice. I'm really never going to be able to see the world. I mean, I'll get little holidays here and there, but
Mm.
I'd never been to Europe. I never, and my whole family has European roots, and so I started doing some research, and I found a clinic in Switzerland that hired American dentists. They took one dentist every year. I thought, wow, wouldn't that be awesome? I could live in Switzerland in the middle of Europe, and so I was bound and determined to get this job. Now, here's the challenge. They had 400 applicants for one position.
Wow.
There was no reason they should hire me. I was fresh out of school. I didn't speak French. I had no practical experience except, school. But I was determined. So, first thing I did was I had every professor in my dental school that I knew write me a letter of recommendation, and they were glowing. And you know how I know they were glowing, Jason?
How?
I wrote them all.
Oh.
So I would ask a professor to write me a letter, and that's the last thing a professor wants to do. And then I would say, "Sir, if it helps, I can write it if you'll just personalize it." And they said, "Brilliant." So that's what I did. So I
I
wrote all of
imagine they
it.
get lots of those types of requests from
Right.
students, but
And in
that's
fact,
very ingenious of you, very intuitive.
when students ask me for letters, I do the same. I say, "Look, you write it because you know you better than I know you, and I'll personalize it." And so, anyhow, so I sent him probably
Oh.
15 letters, and I soon realized that wasn't moving the needle. Well, then I started calling him. Now, this was before you were even born, Jason. This was in 1983.
You
And
are
it was
correct.
not, sorry?
You are correct. Yes, that was
Yeah.
before I was born, Dr. Bill.
Yeah, well, it wasn't easy to make long distance phone calls then. I mean, there were
Mm.
no cell phones. It was a pain in the neck. You had to do it through the special operator. It was very expensive. It was a real ordeal. But I started calling him on a weekly basis, and I'm pretty sure I was the only candidate doing that. And I could also tell that this wasn't moving the needle. And
Wow.
I tell my students at LEAP that there will be life defining moments in your life. And sometimes you plan them, sometimes you don't, sometimes they just happen. And one day it just happened. I don't know where, but somewhere I heard that the fastest way to success is to find a mentor and copy genius. And the
Mm.
cheapest way to do that is to take somebody to lunch. So
Mm.
we're on the phone, and I'm talking to Monsieur Schreier in Switzerland. And I said, "Sir, may I take you to lunch?" And I caught him off guard. I don't even know where that came from. And he said, "But you're in San Francisco and I'm in Switzerland." I was like, "Yeah, no problem. I'll fly out," which was a joke because I was broke ass poor, broke. Like I
Mm.
had no money. Well, he said yes. And so I borrowed money and I flew to Switzerland, and I interviewed with him. You know how many people went to Switzerland and interviewed with him?
I can imagine that definitely pushed the needle in your favour,
Well,
Dr.
I
Bill.
can tell you how many. One.
Oh, right.
One.
But
And guess who got the job?
you did, Dr. Bill.
I did, and it was glorious. I spent 2 years in Lausanne, Switzerland. I learned a lot of dentistry. I learned how to ski. When I arrived, I couldn't speak a word of French. Maintenant, je peux pas français. I'm completely fluent in French. I have friends that I've made for life. I even became so close with a fellow there that he asked me to be the godfather of his firstborn child, which I am. I mean, it literally changed the direction of my life. And so I spent 2 years there. It was amazing. I grew as a person and came back to LA. And I was at a picnic with my folks on the 4th of July years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an elderly fellow there who was a man had practiced dentistry quite successfully for years and was ready to retire and asked if I'd like to come in as an associate and eventually buy his practice out. So when I left my residency in Switzerland, I came here and I worked with Dr. Bud Hoffman. And I did another thing, which was a life defining moment. And this was nothing I had ever heard of. I just thought that this would be a good idea. And now people do it all the time. But what I did was I did some research and I found the 5 most successful dentists in the Beverly Hills area.
Mm-hmm.
And I called them up and I asked if I could come in and observe them. We didn't have the term shadowing. So I just went. And I went and I watched them work. Now, this wasn't that common, but what I did was even less common. If ever there was a student who came in and watched them work, I mean, basically they'd come, they'd watch them drill teeth and leave. That's not what I did, Jason. I showed up 10 minutes before the first patient. I wanted to see how the patient was greeted. I wanted to see the intake forms. I wanted to see the discussion at the front desk. I wanted to see how the patient was seated in the treatment room, how the doctor examined them, how they explained the treatment to the patient, how they explained the financing, how they explained the payment, then how they actually delivered the treatment. And then after that, how they excused the patient, brought the patient to the front desk, collected the fees that were done that day, and rescheduled the patient. I wanted the whole ball of wax.
And was that conscious when you were doing that at the time? Was it so?
You know what? It just made sense to me. Like, they don't teach you that in dental school. They teach you how to drill teeth. They don't teach you business. I mean, now they do a little more, but back then, they basically just let you loose. And I didn't know any of this stuff. And so I took the culmination of what these 5 successful practices were doing and put it all in one practice. And by the end of my first year, Jason, I had the busiest practice in all of Beverly Hills. In fact, it was so busy that the man I was working with, I dwarfed him. And he honestly came up to me. He said, "Doc, you don't need my practice. Go open your own. You're busier than I am." And he was right.
What was the winning formula? Because was it you took all these learnings from these different practices and then you made it even better then?
I think the winning formula is a culmination of this. 1, copy genius, don't reinvent mediocrity. I'm going to tell this to every business person listening to you. If you want to grow your business to be the best, look at what the best are doing and do it better. It's super easy. Look around you, see who your competition is, see what they're doing that makes them so much better, and then figure out how to do it even better.
It's very true, and I think that what you did was you're making it sound very basic, and it is basic, but it's very clever. Did the dental practices quite happily? Did they know that you was I guess they didn't know anything about what your plans were.
Here's the thing, Jason. I was no threat. I was this 26-year-old kid who just graduated dental school. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, who the hell it was? I was nobody. They didn't. That's the greatest advantage that students have is you're not a threat. especially when you're a nobody, And here's the second one. And I have kids running up to me all day long at Leap, like, Dr. Bill, what's the secret of success? You want to know what the secret is, Jason?
Please tell me.
It's not a secret. Work your butt off. Like, that's not what they want to hear. They want a pill. They just think that like people like the Kardashians, it just happens and they become billionaires. No, I know those girls. They work hard. I don't like what they do a lot of times and all that, but I don't know a single successful person that doesn't work hard. Period.
I agree with you. I completely agree. So I want to cram as much into this half an hour with you, Dr. Bill, as I can. So you started the practice, but how did it then evolve to become you treating people like Katy Perry, Usher, Anthony Hopkins, Fergi? The list just goes on and on. How did that all manifest itself?
Well, so I started my practice. And soon after, a woman named Susan Hartzler, who I went to high school with, came in and needed a lot of dental work and said, "Hey, would you barter?" I'm like, "What do you have to offer?" She goes, "Well, I'm a publicist." I'm like, "Well, what does that do?" She goes, "I can get you PR." I'm like, "Well, why do I need that?" She goes, "Well, it will make you famous." I'm like, "Well, I don't want to be famous." She said, "It will bring you patients." I'm like, "Oh, let's do it." So I hired her. And she starts pitching me to magazines and news stories and this and that, and the other thing. And little by little, people start knowing me and coming to me. And then I had a huge break when ABC put me on Extreme Makeover. I mean, you have to understand, this was revolutionary, Jason. This was the birth of reality TV. I'm on ABC, which is one of the biggest networks in the US, on prime time. Dentistry had never been highlighted in a positive way, let alone on primetime TV. And week after week after week, I get to do this show. And I'll tell you something, every single person on that show got paid. The hairstylists, the plastic surgeons, the weight trainers, the makeup artists on it, except me. I did it for free. Well, I had another life-defining moment. My first patient on the show needed 20 porcelain veneers. At the time, we were charging $1,500 a tooth. That's $30,000. I sent the invoice to ABC, and they literally freaked and called me and said, "Doc, are you kidding?" I'm like, "No." They go, "We didn't budget this much for dentistry." I go, "What do you want me to do?" They said, "Well, can you just do 3 veneers?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make 3 white teeth and the rest of her teeth are black?" Like, no. So I said, "I'll make you a deal. I'll do all the dentistry for free if you highlight Zoom whitening in every episode and give my laboratory credit so I don't have like a $20,000 lab bill." They said, "Fine." That would never happen on reality TV today. But every single episode of Extreme Makeover, I invented Zoom, not video conferencing, Zoom tooth whitening.
I've heard of it. It's massive.
Every single episode of ABC's Extreme Makeover featured Zoom tooth whitening. Well, what did that do? My company had grown 2 million, 4 million, 8 million, 16. We just grew and grew, and we kind of plateaued at 76 million. My first year on the show, we did 101 million in sales. My second year, 136. And the third year I was on ABC's Extreme Makeover, we did almost 200 million in sales on Zoom whitening.
Wow.
So ABC didn't pay me, but don't feel bad for me. It worked out.
It just makes hairs on my neck stand up, your story, because it's so incredible what you've done. And I do want to come on to discuss what you do at Leap Foundation, because you the amount of money that you've also raised for children's charities is absolutely mind-blowing. But just in terms of what you did with Zoom, talk us through that, because that's massive in itself.
Let me put this in a different direction, Jason. My mantra for life:
yes,
learn so you can earn and then return. And I grew up with nothing. We were poor, really poor. And when I got to a point in my career where I was able to support myself and my family financially, my goal was just to make the world a better place and help others. And, we did it with Garth Brooks through Smiles for Life. We've raised over $45 million for children's charities. And I continue to do it every year at my LEAP program. LEAP is a motivational leadership program for high school and college students that takes place every year at UCLA for 1 week. Now, we've done it for 14 years. In 2020, it was virtual to 1,000 students. This year, it was virtual to about 600 students, and we had 50 students live. Next year, it will be live again. And the whole purpose for LEAP is to teach students the skills that they need to be successful in life. And we do it by bringing in amazing businessmen and businesswomen to speak and share the secrets of their success, their challenges, and how they overcame them. We do it by putting the kids in workshops where we teach them networking and time management and money management. We do it by giving the kids a group of support to help them be the best versions of themselves. Listen, I have 3 daughters. If I tell my daughter to do something, she's not going to do it. If you tell her and you're an expert in the field, she might do it. But if 10 of her girlfriends tell her to do it, guess what happens?
She does it.
She does it. And that's why LEAP works. We put these kids in groups where they can all work together. The biggest reason why people don't try things is the fear of failure. And what I tell kids is this: I never fail, and neither will you if you listen to me. And what I say is this: if you do something and it doesn't come out the way you want it to, that's not failure. That's practice. Then you do it again and again and again and again until you get it right. And you only fail when you quit. So if you don't quit, you won't fail. And if you keep doing the same thing and you're not getting the results you want, find a mentor, go online, learn what you're doing the wrong way so you can do it the right way. Because we've been told over and over again, practice makes perfect. No, practice makes permanent. If you keep doing it the wrong way, you'll get really good at doing it the wrong way. When I went on ABC's Extreme Makeover, I stunk. I was horrid. I wasn't born for TV. I was born to be a dentist. I know that. And I watched the first few episodes and I was smart enough to know how bad I was. So instead of stinking so badly that they would fire me, I was proactive, Jason. I took acting classes, hosting classes, teleprompting classes. I took, improv classes. I wanted to be the best version of me that I could be if I was going to do this. Another thing I tell them at LEAP: when you go big. I don't do anything half-ass, ever. If you do something, commit to it and give it everything you've got. Those are the things you need to do to be successful.
What motivates you, Dr. Bill?
I'm a sick individual. I honestly don't know. Jason, I have never been normal in my entire life. I don't know what makes me tick. I was 5 years old. I went to kindergarten and I came home and my parents said, "How was school?" I said, school is okay, but the kids in my class are so immature. I was 5. I've never been a little kid. I've always been an adult. I was 6. I came home and I told my parents I wanted to have a conference with them. Like, they're like, "What do you mean a conference?" I sat them down and I said, "Listen, I know how to read." They said, "Yeah, we know. That's great. So I don't need to go to school anymore. I'll just read everything I need to learn." And they're like, "Yeah, no, you still need to go to school." I'm like, "Okay." That was the other thing. Like, I even asked my mom this. I'm 62 now. I asked my mother this a few weeks ago. I'm like, "Mom, this is going to be a weird question, but did I ever get in trouble for anything as a kid?" She goes, "Nope." And it's true. I really didn't.
Really?
I just figured, look, there's a right way and a wrong way. Just choose right. It's so much easier. I never wanted to make waves. It wasn't like I was this Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. I was just like, why would I do something the wrong way and get in trouble when I could do it the right way and not get in trouble? Honest to God, I don't know where all of this comes from. It was literally innate in me. I think this is the best explanation. And this was on national TV. I'm on Oprah. And Oprah says to me in 2005, "Dr. Bill, you've had a career unlike any other dentist in the history of dentistry. What inspires you to think so far outside the box?"
That's a good
Now,
question.
I had never heard that phrase before. think outside the box. This was in 2005. It wasn't really common. And I heard her say that. And I looked at her, I said, what box? And we cracked up. And I think that really exemplifies my entire life. Literally, when you tell me no, that's the beginning of the conversation. Don't tell me no.
Yeah.
There has to be a yes.
Dr. Bill, I think you're the best guest I've ever had on this podcast. Your energy and your listens, there's just a multitude of them. What's been your, if you had to say, your kind of career highlight? Have you got one thing that you feel a real sense of pride about that's kind of topped all the rest?
Wow. Well, listen, I have
It
20.
seems like there's so many. I'm
I know,
thinking, is there
Jason.
one thing that's in the forefront of your mind that's your biggest accomplishment yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've had 20 Lifetime Achievement Awards. You know, I have 2 Guinness World Book records. I have a New York Times best-selling book. I mean, I was knighted. I'm now Sir William. I mean, I've had so many amazing things. You know, my podcast is in the top 2% of all podcasts in the world. Can you believe that? It's
No, I
called,
can't believe that.
yeah,
Well, I
it's
can
called,
believe that actually, Dr. Bill. I can believe that.
it's, it's called Meet the Mentor. And I just got an award for being in the top 100 podcasts in over 100 countries. I don't know. It's like every time I feel like I get to a pinnacle, I get to a new one. But if you ask me point blank,
Uh-huh.
what's the one thing I'm most proud of? It would be
Yes.
my 3 girls. They're
And I,
amazing.
and I think that's beautiful. Well, your daughters, what do they do, Dr. Bill?
Well, Anna is a scientist. She
Uh-huh.
works at a place called Same Day Testing, which is amazing because they do thousands and thousands of COVID tests a day.
It's a
So
good
she runs
industry to
that.
be in at the moment.
Yeah, she runs that lab. My twins, the next one is Charlotte. We call her Charlie. And Charlie works in a PR firm and she works with influencers and advertising campaigns. And
Uh-huh.
my youngest twin, her name is Georgie. So they're Charlie and Georgie. Today happens to be the day she's launching her clothing line. So she went to school in Wisconsin. She majored in fashion and design and she put together her own clothing line and it launches today. It's called All My Love. And if you want to see what she's done, the website is at shop All My Love. And I'm super proud of her. We're having a big launch party tonight. And you want to hear the best part, Jason? So she put this whole bit. She's been studying fashion. She's been working in fashion. This is a kid who, when she was 6 years old, I'm sitting at breakfast as where I'm about to take them to school. I'm like, Georgie, do you have a makeup? She's like, no. I'm like, Georgie, you have mascara, lipstick, and rouge on. I can see it. She goes, well, Dad, just a little. I'm like, Georgie, you're 5. Go wash it off. So anyhow, I'm super excited. She's launching today. And when she started her business, she said, Dad, do you want to be an investor in my company? I'm like, absolutely. But you're going to have to listen to what I say. She goes, yeah, no, I'll do it on my own. And she did. She did.
You
She
must
did
be
the whole
super
thing on her
proud,
own.
and I'm so honoured that you've found the time to come on with all that's going on today. That's a really busy day for you. On one kind of parting bit of advice, and I know that you do so much with young people, but we get a lot of young people listening to this show. What one bit of advice would you give to someone who's trying to find their way in the world and trying to find, what it is that they want to do?
Go to Leap. The website is
Mm,
www.leapfoundation.com. If it's too difficult for you to come in person, which is the best experience, we
mm.
will forever do it as a hybrid program. And we have thousands of students all over the world that come and do it virtually. But I honestly think that if I were going to give you one real advantage in life, it's that. I have a
Mm.
young woman who just sent me a text last night. Ironically, her name is Haley, and she's in an Ivy League school back east. She just finished her first year. She said, Dr. Bill, I can't even begin to tell you. There's no way I would have been able to A, get into the school, and B, done as well as I've done without Leap. And I hear that time and time again. And, the kids at the program, we teach them to write notes. They're called I Appreciate notes. And, the last year that we did it in person, we had 500 kids. I got 500 I Appreciate notes. And 99% of them said, Dr. Bill, LEAP changed my life.
And I guess it's been established for so long now. A lot of the people that came to you, 10 years ago, they're now in their careers. So there must be so many success stories that have come.
There are, but here's the cool thing, Jason. You can come to LEAP as a student, and then you can come back as a coach. And then you get to help teach other students. And then you can come back as a speaker. And then you come back as an alumni on our mentor workshop day, and you sit in the audience and you talk to the students and tell them the things that you've done. It's really an amazing program. Please look it up at www.leapfoundation.com. And I will also tell you this, I'm probably the only person on Instagram with like 1.3 million followers who actually answers all of my DMs. If anybody in your audience ever wants to contact me directly, it will be me. It's not a bot. It's not somebody. It's actually me. So just go to Dr. Bill Dorfman on Instagram, DRBILL Dorfman, and I promise you I will respond.
Dr. Bill, you're an absolute inspiration, and your story, I could sit here and talk to you for another few hours, but that, sadly, is all we've got time for today. If people want to find out more about you, or indeed connect with you, where can they go to, Dr. Bill?
Well, to connect with me, it's Instagram. To find out more about me, go on my website, Dr. Bill Dorfman, and there's a whole bio, and there's a thing there's a tab you can press on with media, which has my EPK, my electronic press kit in it. It tells you pretty much everything I've done since the day I'm born.
Dr. Bill, thank you so much. And I hope your daughter's launch tonight goes very, very, very well.
Well, I appreciate it. Jason, go. In fact, she launched the site today. So go to Shop All My Love. I don't think there's anything on there that you would wear, but maybe some young 20-ish women that would like to find something on there. So please,
I will definitely check it out. Dr. Bill, thank you so much. That was Dr. Bill Dorfman, the world's most famous cosmetic dentist. This is the Career Success Podcast. I'm Jason Connolly. Until next time, goodbye.